How much would you pay for one thought that could change your life? If you could give someone $15 and you could get a thought that could potentially shape the next 15 years of your life, would that be worth it?
Books, hard copy or audiobooks, will change your life if they're the right books. If you want a book recommendation, please reach out.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1443, 6 things that will set you apart from 99% of people. Today, for episode number 1444, one of the best possible uses for your money. When I first got into self-improvement, Alan, when I first got into this life, you were the person trying to convince me of what we're going to talk about today. And I didn't believe you. I didn't think you were dumb, but I didn't think you were all-knowing either. So there was a part of me that was like, I don't know. I wonder if you even really completely know what you're talking about, or are you just really confident in the words that you're saying to me? Mm-hmm. I remember Alan said this quote. He said, "Kevin, skills monetize forever." And I remember thinking, I don't even know what that means. I'm not really sure what that even means. It sounds cool, and I'm sure there's a point to it, but I'm not really sure what that saying means yet. I actually used that on a podcast the other day. Somebody said, what is the best advice you could give someone when it comes to money? And I said, the level of your success most likely will never exceed the level of your self-improvement. And you have to understand that when you learn a skill, when you learn a new piece of knowledge, when you get a breakthrough from a book or an audiobook or a TED Talk, that might end up making you a ton of money in the future. / you might have a greater relationship if you learn something. If you're watching YouTube videos on fitness, or you're paying for a course on fitness, you're probably going to have better fitness and health results. I said, so if I could go back and tell myself anything at the beginning of this, even though I had somebody try to tell me, I would say the most important, or one of the most valuable uses of your money is investing in yourself, in your own self-improvement. We in the US are going through concert season right now, where there's a lot of outdoor concerts and people are going to very, very expensive concerts. And while I have nothing against that, this isn't a judgment, I wonder how many of those people would spend $500 on a course as opposed to maybe $500 for concert tickets. I don't think I would have in the beginning. Full transparency, I was more focused on buying a nice car or having a large TV or whatever it may be when I was first into self-improvement. But as I continued to learn and grow and evolve, I started to make different decisions with money, and that has definitely paid for itself in many ways. I told Alan I learned something recently in one of the books I'm listening to by Phil M. Jones. We had him on the podcast, I don't know, a couple of years ago maybe. And it's not something I didn't know. It's not that I learned something I had never thought of before. I learned something about him that made me reassured in something I knew about myself. Is that going to make me $1 today? It's really hard to connect the dots on that. Will it make me a lot of money eventually and over the course of time? Absolutely. That is what this episode is about. One of the best possible uses for your money is to help you improve, to help you become more healthy, to help your relationship. It really is investing in you and your own self-improvement, your own personal growth, your own personal development.
Brian Tracy talks about this a lot. The investment that you make in yourself apparently over time can return 30 to 1. So if you could go to Las Vegas and put $1 into a slot machine, the idea is that you'd get $30 back. And if you could do that, how long would you play? And the answer is as much as possible. But it's difficult to invest $1 today and not get your $30 until 10 years from now or 5 years from now. And I think that that's why those things don't land for people.
Yeah.
If you buy a course for $500 and you invest time into that course, you might not make your money back for several months, if not several years. But maybe in the first year you make $500 back. Maybe in the second year you make $1,500 back. Maybe in the third year you make $10,000 with what you learned. Learning accumulates. But with the concert tickets, you get to go this weekend. And you get all of the fun and all of the pleasure right away. And I think that that's why a lot of people don't invest as much in themselves. The other piece of it is they don't believe in themselves. Why would you invest in your own brighter future if you don't believe in your own brighter future? And what's ironic about that is if you don't invest in your own brighter future, your brighter future is not going to be bright, and then you're going to prove to yourself that you shouldn't have invested. So it's a self-fulfilling sort of thing. So my question for you, Kev, as someone who struggled in the beginning to invest in themselves, I came to you recently and said, hey, I want to buy this leadership course. It's $275 a month for 24 months?
Forever.
And I think it came to like $3,000 at the end of the day. And you said, eventually I basically said, I got to do this. And you were on board. That will pay us back so much. It really, really will. Here's the thing. It hasn't yet.
Yeah. And
so my question for you is, why aren't people sold on their own brighter future? Why don't they believe enough in their own brighter future? And I guess why isn't it more encouraged for people to invest in their own skills and their own personal development?
Yeah, it's a deep question. I think one of the reasons is a lot of the people trying to convince you to invest in yourselves aren't actually adding value. So say we had a $997 course. Maybe someday we will. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever have a course that expensive. Maybe. But say we had that, but it was really garbage. It wasn't good. And every time I talked to one of the NLU family members, I said, hey, you really got to get this course. This is going to change your life. It's going to be amazing. And then you go and buy this course and you realize you just spent $997 and it's not valuable. I would say that's probably one of the reasons. Maybe.
And then what are the chances you're going to buy another course? Yeah.
I had a call with a client last week, and this client is somebody who invests in themselves a lot. They spend money on coaches. They spend money on business coaches. They're surrounding themselves with people who are ahead of them in things that are important to them. And they said, I just invested in this program and in these coaches, and they're terrible. I'm so disappointed in what I received. I'm so disappointed. The reason she invested in this round of coaching is because she had a previous coach who was really, really good. She had a really good experience and said, wow, that was definitely worth it. Let me try that again. Now it was not such a good experience. Will she be as open to spending $10,000 or whatever she spent in the future? Probably not. She might be a little bit gun shy. So I would say negative experiences are one for sure. And yeah, to your point, it's very hard to say, okay, well, $500 is going to come out of my bank account today. When can I expect to make that money back? I don't know. Depends. Depends on a lot of things. Depends on your level of commitment when you're learning. It depends on what you do after. It depends on your consistency. It depends on a lot of things. So I think that's a big part of it too, is to your point, you're going to take $500 out of my bank account today, and I have no idea if and when that money's ever going to come back. And I don't even know if I'm going to be doing what I'm doing 5 years from today.
Too much uncertainty.
There's a lot of uncertainty. Understandably. Yep. Going back to, I was reviewing the podcast last week, and one of the episodes, or maybe it was a teaser clip I shared, I don't remember. But one of the episodes we talked about was, where do you feel most in control and where do you feel most out of control? If you feel in control when it comes to your ability to learn something and then implement it, you probably are the type of person that would say, yeah, this is for me. I can see kind of how this would work. That's worth it. If you identify as the type of person who isn't a good learner, doesn't learn through watching or listening, and you learn through doing, you might say to yourself, I don't know. I don't even know if this is going to be valuable enough for me to make my money back off of. That's another piece of it, I would say too.
If you do struggle to implement, I think there's a book called The 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin, and we've talked about it many times in the past, where there's 4 different archetypes in that book. One of them is called an obliger. This is someone who can keep promises to others more than they keep for themselves. Statistically speaking, our listeners tend to be obligers. I never made this connection before, but if you are an obliger, having a coach will help.
Definitely.
If it's a good coach. Which I don't think I can recommend any coaching other than NLU coaching these days. I could definitely recommend Evolve Ventures for sure. But there's very few coaches who I believe in at this stage enough to actually recommend to our community, quite frankly.
Same.
But at the end of the day, if you are an obliger and you struggle with keeping the promises to yourself, having a good coach will help you stay super accountable. I have people tracking habits that would never do it for themselves. And they're going to get results they never would have gotten without the coaching just because they're doing it for me more than they're doing it for themselves. So that's another investment that you can make in yourself. If I said you could invest $150 per month into one 1-hour session, but you also are going to get with that a habit tracker that I make sure you do, how much would that make you if you could start doing the things and tracking the habits and that kind of thing? So at the end of the day, if you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in your ability to implement and you don't believe in your ability to even finish the course and you don't believe in your ability to learn and you don't believe in your ability to follow through on what the course tells you because you're not going to feel like doing it, and maybe you don't believe in your level of self-discipline, it's going to be very hard to invest in yourself. But one thing that I will say is when you put skin in the game, when you invest in something, you very rarely want to let it be for nothing. If you were to, there's a lot of coaches out there that charge $10,000 packages or $5,000 packages or whatever for 6 months of coaching. The only thing that I do believe that benefits people beyond what I think, there's a lot of coaches out there that do that I don't think are worth it. And I'm just going to be transparent about that. One thing that I do think is fascinating about those situations is people who pull out a credit card and put $10,000 on a credit card for a business coach. You better believe you have skin in the game and you're going to do anything you can to make that coaching worth it. So you're going to implement at a greater level. That I will say. You will implement more when you are afraid to waste that money than if you didn't have any skin in the game. So even just investing in yourself, Kev, it looked like I wasn't paying attention to you earlier on this episode.
I am used to that, yeah. It's no big deal.
It's because I was looking through my Facebook DMs. There's a book club member who recently reached out. There's actually been several who recently reached out and said, I'm so glad I bought this book. Limitless by Jim Quick. I live under this delusion that everyone has read every personal development book. I don't know where I get that, but the idea of not having read Limitless by Jim Quick, it's very challenging for me because I just kind of combed this entire industry, found every good book I could, and just read them all. Not all of them, obviously, but most of them. Limitless to me is like if you were to have a library of 50 books that are going to help you achieve your dreams, Limitless would be in there. At some point, we're going to have like a book list. If you go to the website, we'll put a link in the show notes. If you go to the website, there's a list of books that we've read in book club, and there's a couple weird ones in there, but they're all extremely, extremely valuable. If you spend $15 on Limitless or $20 or whatever it is, I have people saying, thank goodness I bought this book. You know, and actually shout out to Alicia. Alicia messaged me saying, I'm so grateful that we're reading this book in book club. I've gotten that a lot with Limitless. And so whatever this book is doing, it's really helping people a lot. But what it really is it's an investment in yourself. You had to buy the book. You had to buy it on Audible or you had to buy a hard copy. I have a hard copy right here. It's actually Emilia's, so technically I didn't buy it. She did. But you're also investing time into reading it. You have to believe that it's going to be worth it. Otherwise, you'll never do it. And if you are skeptical as to whether or not Limitless is going to be worth your time, just try hard to get rid of the skepticism just for a minute. Give it a shot. Obviously, it's going to help you. There's no version of you reading Limitless with it not helping you. There's just no way. There's no way you know everything in that book. There's no way. Now, some of it you will know. Some of it won't be helpful. That's okay. But 80% of it is probably going to be like, holy crap. And it's $15, you know?
Well, even the stuff that isn't helpful from the perspective of something new, sometimes it's reassuring. Of, oh, okay, I've been doing that for a minute. Good for me. Oh, I remember I read a book. What was the sleep book? Sleep Better, maybe?
Sleep Smarter.
Sleep Smarter. I remember reading that, and there was a lot of stuff that was very illuminating. It was very powerful. But one of the things was you keep your room at 68 degrees or something. That's the ideal temperature. And I remember having that moment of, oh my goodness, I remember I used to have my AC on all night, and it was cold in my room, and I always feel like I slept really well when it's cold. Oh, I was onto something. I didn't know I was. I don't know if it was actually 68 degrees, but I didn't know that. Now there's also
43. Kevin sleeping
waking up with icicles in my nose. It's also one of the challenges, I think, is there's layers. So I was trying to think of an example.
Hi, my name is Tim Melanson, and I have a web development agency called Creative Crew Agency, and I'm also a podcast host of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. I met Alan a little over a year ago. He was a guest on my podcast, and we had an epic conversation, and I was just really impressed with his work ethic. And so I decided to jump on board with him, and it's been a little over a year now. My business has grown, but more importantly, I feel much less stressed and much more purposeful with what I'm doing and the direction that I'm going. So I definitely highly recommend Alan. If you're looking for some accountability, if you're looking for some tools, then look him up, take him up on his consultation.
The first book you ever read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which a lot of people start, especially in finance. And you learned one thing. And you practiced that one thing for the next 5 years. And then you forgot that you learned it in that book, and it just became second nature to you.
Yeah.
Everything you learned after that, because of that, is also connected to the book as well. That's why it could be one, even this podcast, it's free. Hopefully we're adding value. Maybe you heard something one time that altered a conversation that you had with your partner that allowed you to be more deeply in love, that allowed you to, whatever, have a more successful relationship, and then start a family, and then get a home. I'm not saying, I mean, maybe that happened in 6 years' time. It's possible. But sometimes it's just one thought that shifts something that shifts everything else. It doesn't have to be, I've read 1,000 books and I've learned every single thing in every book, and now I know how everything's connected. That's super valuable too. But I think there also is value to saying, okay, well, I learned what's the one big takeaway? Sleep is one of the most important things ever. Conceptually, I knew that, but I never really understood the seriousness of it. Sleep is way more important than I realized. Okay, I should probably put some more effort, some more, what's the word I'm looking for? Intentionality. Tough one. Into it. Sometimes
if
just
our
one
listeners,
thought. Go on.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
If our listeners could invest in themselves just to start small, what would you recommend as the number one most important investment for them to make in themselves? I think even making an investment of money into your own personal development, it's an act that shows you believe in yourself. And I think that that's powerful. I really do. I have a client, my computer's freaking out right now. I think, are we good on StreamYard's end?
Yeah, everything looks good on my end.
Okay, I don't know. My computer's updating or something. I think Google Drive was doing something. I had someone text me today, and I was pumped about this. Hey, can we get back on the calendar? She wants to start the coaching back up. It's like, of course, let's rock. That's an investment. Okay, what does that say? That says, hey, I believe in myself and I'm ready to get after it again. Let me put my money where my mouth is. There's something to that. And I responded. I said, looking forward to syncing back up. Talk soon. And to me, I know this person is going to get momentum back because they're ready to rock again. You can tell. You don't hire a coach when you're like down and out and you don't want to take action. It shows me she's ready to go. And there's something about that. So the question would be, what's one small investment that you would recommend to get started?
I would say under health, if you don't have a gym membership, don't ever feel bad about signing up for a gym membership. It's one of the best things in the world. And now you can go to Planet Fitness. I think it's like $10 a month. And that's less than Netflix. So if you have Netflix and you don't have a gym membership, that could be a potential trade. I know we love our Netflix, and as I do as well. A simple one. This has been a game changer. I adopted this from you. Tara and I spent time with some friends this weekend, and they have a new kitten. And I think they were talking about the kitten having the zoomies. And they said, doesn't it bother you when the kitties get the zoomies at night? And I was like, no, I have earplugs in. And they said, you sleep with earplugs? And Taryn's like, yeah, we both do. I mean, we've been sleeping with earplugs for, I don't know, years at this point.
Game
changer. And then they were talking about it getting too light. And I said, I sleep with a mask on too. I have a sleep mask on. So I'm in the dark and I am in the silent night more often than not. Those are investments. The earplugs, I remember the first time you sent it to me, they're not cheap for a 20 pack.
What are these made of, man?
Yeah, they're pretty expensive. Yeah. Now they last a good amount of time, but that's something.
They're amazing.
A good pillow. A good pillow might cost $40, but if it's going to get you more sleep. Now again, here's the thing. I understand that maybe money is very, very tight and you're thinking, Kev, a $40 pillow, that ain't it. Completely understand. Maybe a $5 used book on, I don't want to say investing, but maybe just a money awareness book. Tara and I went to a used bookstore a while ago and I ended up getting like, I don't know, maybe like 10 books for $50. Some of them are a little beat up. They're all used, but that might be a good opportunity. Audible, I don't know how much it is for one book, but what is it, $34 for 3 or something like that?
If you get the membership, you get one book every month for, I think, $16. And then you get offered, you can buy 3 credits for $34.
Okay.
And I think you have to have a membership to get the 3 credits, though.
I should probably know, but as the person who looks at the money.
Audible, yeah, right. Audible will keep you reading because you get a new credit. I was on the phone with a client Friday. And he's like, I said, what books are you reading? He said, Courage is Calling. I was like, dude, can that one. You've been reading that for too long, right? You're courageous. Congratulations. Awesome. Move on. Okay. And again, my coaching's hardcore. And I say, Relentless. Have you read Relentless yet? Because he's struggling to be consistent. I said, download Relentless. Now, that book's not for everyone, and that's why you got to be careful with these book recommendations, because that's a bad book for certain people. But he is definitely ready, and he should read that. But he's like, I have one more credit on Audible. What else should I get? I looked through my Rolodex of books. I think, okay, here's this client. Here's this client's goals. Here's the book you need. Boom. Hammered it. I forget what it was. But the point is if anyone needs help with what book to buy, that would be my answer. Would be just a book. Yeah. A personal development book. These books, Stephen Kotler wrote a book called The Art of Impossible, and he broke down the math of how valuable books are. He said, you can get 15 years worth of my time in 5 hours of yours. And $15, obviously, or $20 or whatever it is. We read a book called The Art of Impossible before we interviewed Stephen Kotler. And Stephen Kotler, it took him, I mean, if you think about it, his career is 30 years of interviewing the world's most successful professional athletes and performers. We took 30 years worth of his life, his knowledge, his wisdom, his experience, his insights, and we, with $20 of our money and 5 hours of our time, were able to download all of that into our consciousness. Now, was all of it completely relevant and completely useful? I think for us, a lot of it was, but at the end of the day, you can't get a better ROI. ROI stands for return on investment. And I would say download Audible or buy a hard copy book that's a personal development book that it's got to be one of the fundamentals. The Compound Effect, Limitless, Essentialism by Gregory McKeown. You can't go wrong with that book. It's $20. And if you buy, one of my clients said this. She said, when you downloaded, or when you told me to download Essentialism by Gregory McKeown, that book effed me up, man. Mm. And now she's years later and she's changed her whole world. She still talks about that book on our coaching calls. She still talks about how that book changed her life. Now, what you read in the book, you might not like. One of the reasons she didn't like the book, or she loves the book now, but didn't like the book when she read it, is because she wasn't an essentialist. She was running around like a chicken with her head cut off, doing everything for everyone, not focused on any of her essentials. And that's what the book's about, focusing on your essentials. Of course, it's going to be painful. I think the other reason people don't invest in books or in courses or in coaches is because we're here to tell you what you don't want to hear, but need to hear. And if what you wanted was what you needed, you would already have it. And Kevin and I spend a lot of time, we're going to do an episode later this week about this concept where what you don't want to hear sometimes is what you need to hear to get what you really want.
And a topic like this is not very sexy, right? This probably wouldn't be the episode where we have fireworks going off in the background and there's confetti and a parade, right? It's not a super sexy topic, but it is oftentimes, another Alan Lazaros quote, sometimes the most valuable content is the most boring. And it
Definitely.
it is one of those things where you can make learning more fun and you can make self-improvement more fun, but at the end of the day, it is the fundamental belief that me pouring into my life is going to be the best use of my time, energy, money, intention, focus. I did a post the other day of me in the gym, and I said the gym, fitness in general, weightlifting specifically for me, is one of the most humbling things in the world.
Oh, so much.
And I wrote some other stuff, I don't know why or what, but I closed it off by saying, and I think I did, if I didn't, I should have, if fitness is very, very humbling to you because you don't know much about it and you haven't studied it yet, there's your first step. Simple. That's the first step. I'm not saying it's going to be super easy. I'm not saying it's going to come naturally, but the first step is to start learning about it. So that $15 to download a book or a course or going on YouTube, there's a lot of valuable places on YouTube that are completely free, and spending a half hour learning about exercises or learning about metabolism or learning about mobility or sleep, hydration, whatever it may be, that's going to pay in different ways. Not necessarily monetarily. You might not be able to connect it to that. I spent $15 on this course. Did I make $15 back? I don't know. But if you feel healthier, if you are more comfortable in your body, if you feel more consistent, if you have more self-trust, I would say that $15 is worth it. The question, the next level nugget for me would be, how much would you pay for one thought that could change your life? If you could give someone $15 and you could get a thought that could potentially shape the next 15 years of your life, would that be worth it? My answer to that is yes. Would it have always been? Probably not. No, I probably would have said, add a couple zeros, like give me $1,500 and I'll go buy the biggest TV possible. I probably would have said that at one point. Now, my opinion has definitely changed. I still like big TVs, but I also understand that if I want many big TVs in the future, I have to invest in myself so I can become more competent and add more value. And the way to do that is to invest in myself.
My next level nugget is books, hard copy or audio books will change your life if they're the right books. If you want a book recommendation, please reach out. I adore this. If you want to look at what books we've read in book club, I told book club, I said, I don't want this to be a fun book club. I don't. I want to talk about uncomfortable things. I want to talk about challenging things. I want to learn things we can implement. Every week we set an intention. And that's really what I want to talk about here at the end is, if you are looking for a place to start investing in yourself, book club is the place. And if you don't want to read the book that we're reading in book club, just pick a personal development book that has, I don't want to say that has positive reviews, because I know there's a lot of books out there that are rubbish that have a lot of positive reviews. Reach out. I would be happy to recommend books based on what will really help you achieve your goals and dreams, not based on what's going to get you to feel good.
I would add our next hour, our next round of group coaching starts, I think we switched it. I believe it's October 10th as of right now. It was October 3rd. I think we pushed it to October 10th.
I'm honestly not sure. I think so. The
I'm
link
99
will show the proper date, though.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure. We'll have the link in the show notes. But again, I don't know anybody else charging $97 for the amount of value that we're going to give you. that would be it. I'm not going to sell you on it. It's very, very valuable for what you're paying. I can't imagine a more valuable group coaching setting for that level of money or less. And the reason it is priced where it is not so we can make a ton of money. It's so you can afford it. That was our thought process. It wasn't, hey, we're going to do group coaching and we should charge $5,000 a person. So we can just, we'll make $50,000. Won't be that much time. It's going to be awesome. That wasn't it. It was, how do we sustainably deliver value to a group of 10 people? We'll do it every quarter for the rest of time, and it will be sustainable for those in it. So that is our intention with that. If you are interested, the link will be in the show notes. Again, I remember when I was younger, working on yourself wasn't considered cool. It wasn't cool to work on yourself. It wasn't cool to get a coach. It didn't seem cool. A lot of the people that used to say that, I'm sure they wish they had coaches back then. And I'm sure they wish they had coaches now, because a lot of them didn't end up where they wanted to. Alan and I gave a speech at a school, and I really wanted to say that to the kids. I know what we're saying doesn't seem super cool. I know it's probably boring. It's not sexy, but I promise this is the stuff that's going to make the difference. And the people laughing right now are probably going to wish they paid attention. For obvious reasons, I didn't say it because I didn't want to get attacked by all the students. But obviously that is our
against two,
right? Obviously that is our belief. We have a self-improvement company, and we are byproducts of that self-improvement. So link will be in the show notes. I believe it's October 10th. I'm 99% sure. Tomorrow for episode number 1445, 2 reasons why people unintentionally hold you back. I do not believe everybody has ill intent and everybody wants to see you fail. I think there are some inner things going on, and that is one of the reasons people unintentionally hold us back. So we will dive deep into that tomorrow. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Invest in yourself. Next explanation.